So, for one reason or another, today I've been looking into national insurance contributions and how much national insurance we have to pay as the lowest earners in the UK. And this was partly brought about by my analysis of an underpayment issue I had with a former employer. I was employed on a dairy farm in West Sussex, working from the beginning of December last year to about the middle of February this year. And these people had been promising to pay me £2,000 a month. They ended up paying me about 1,500 quid a month. Whereas I was actually working at national minimum wage hours, which would have entitled me to greater amounts of gross pay than £2,000 per month. And I suspect the reason that they probably justify their decision to dock my wages to the tune of about 500 quid a month by the terms of their own contract would have focused on issues like tax and national insurance, I suspect. However, if they were going through PAYE, i.e. the government's pay-as-you-earn system, which for reasons that, to do with the sort of shoddiness of their contracts that they've been drafting, they're clearly not using legitimate lawyers to draft their tenancy agreement or to draft their employment contracts. So it seems somewhat unlikely to me that they're actually using legitimate accountants, because at the time I started work with them, I hadn't reached my personal allowance for income tax, which is about £12,495 per year, if I remember correctly. And I'm not even certain I'd reached my personal allowance for national insurance, i.e. £9,453 a year. Because the only employment I'd had in that tax year would have been from July-ish. I was working on a dairy farm in Somerset, where actually they also underpaid me. Go for it, but I couldn't be bothered to deal with that. So I earned 1,500 quid there for a month's work. Then another dairy farm near Warminster, where they did pay me properly. I think I got about 2,500 out of them. Then went to Reading University briefly. My student finance didn't come in, so dropped out there. Worked on another dairy farm for about 5 weeks. They must have paid me about 2,300 or something. So where are we up to? 3,000. 5,000. And I was working at the old Ham Tree, a pub in Holt, just outside Trowbridge, where I probably earned over a month. So I probably earned all told about 950 quid from that. Just under a grand or so, I'd have said. So, where are we at? 1,500 to, let's call the second employment 3,000. 1,500, 3,000, 4,500. Secondary farm, 7,000. Old Handry, 8,000. So, yeah, after the first month's employment on this dairy farm in West Sussex, I would have, been edging towards the national insurance bracket. However, if they really were going through PAYE and not calculating all this themselves, and thinking, oh, he's got to pay national insurance, he's going to be earning such and such amount per year, oh, we've got to tax him 13.5. Like, what? And you're actually paying that to the government, are you? You're not just creaming off the top? So I've Googled this, Harrison and Sons dairy farming conglomerate in West Sussex, and on Google now it says that they're permanently closed. And like, if they've gone out of business, I fucking laugh at that, because I don't fucking know how they managed to stay in business for so long if they're undertaking these sorts of practices. I got the employment contract, like saying I was starting work at 4:30 in the morning, as opposed to 4 in the morning, when I was starting work, and finishing half eight in the morning. Whereas that was totally not true. More like 9:30, sometimes 10. Sometimes 9. If I was working with James and we got done quickly, maybe it'd be 9. I think it was 9 on a couple of occasions. More like 9:30 though. Just cream half an hour here, half an hour there. little bits of scrimp and save, like, like, you know, like trying to do that something like try to shaft your workers for money, it'll just end up costing you so much more in the long term. That's the reason you should never do it. Like, it costs you money through tribunals and things. Like, it'll cost you your reputation as well. Because I've spoken about this on the British Farming Forum, and I'd actually quite a few people come from, like, and like send messages to me like it wasn't Harrison's by any chance, was it? I was like, yeah, it was. It's like, ah, right, yeah, we know about that. And yeah, like, if you get a bad enough reputation, like, firstly, no one's gonna want to work for you as a dairy farmer. So that's a problem already. Secondly, like, if your reputation gets too bad for treating your employees terribly, like, you'll lose your milking contracts. Like, they were with Arla, so like Arla be like, well, we don't really want your milk anymore, sorry, because it's gonna make us look bad in the long run if like we keep. But yeah, I mean, moving on back to this national insurance issue. So this sort of awakened me to a sort of deeper issue, because people earning over about £4,500 per month pay 2% national insurance contribution, whereas earners under that earn less, pay less than that, more than that. Sorry, 13.5, and I'm thinking, like, this is deeply unfair. Like, we have the system of free healthcare in the United Kingdom, the NHS, which everyone just fawns over, and thinks like the most wonderful thing that's ever happened to Britain. Isn't it such a beautiful example of social progress? Whereas, like, if you're, by the way, in the mental health division of it, they will force treatment upon you, and they'll make you more unwell, so they can keep putting you through the system, keep psychiatrists employed, keep all the mental health workers employed, keep selling you the drugs if you've got the money to pay for them. Or, like, it's all knotted up. There's something, I think, a healthcare industrial complex going on here, and we should revert to something more like the French or the Dutch system, whereby if you go to the doctor because you get sick, yeah, you do have to pay a bit of money, and like if you get sick and got to pay money, it's like, well, the answer is very clear. Like, you should take care of yourself and not get sick. That's the answer. Healthcare should not be free. Like, Belgium, Netherlands, France, I think Spain, more than likely Germany, Denmark, Scandinavia, like, they've all managed to figure out this, haven't they? But we lag behind. It must be free at the point of need. Or even, is it free at the point of delivery? We're going to deliver you healthcare, irrespective of whether or not you need it. That's awfully nice, isn't it? For, this liberal, democratic nation. Or are we suffering under the yoke of almost a state socialist, totalitarian, corporatist behemoth called the NHS? And, everybody like had rainbow pictures in their windows during COVID saying, "We love you, NHS," or "Love for key workers," and so on. Like, also, why a rainbow? Like, you're trying to ape the LGBT symbol or something, like trying to transmogrify it towards healthcare, or you're trying to steal that symbol from the LGBT community. Because the NHS doesn't have such a hot history so far as the LGBT community is concerned, is it? Because the NHS was set up in the 50s, when we were still chemically castrating gay men under law, and I believe that sort of persisted until about the late 60s, didn't it? Ooh dear, we've got a few skeletons in our closet, haven't we, the NHS? And the things I could go on about so far as the mental health system's concerned with the NHS, like, yeah, it's beyond the scope of this video. I've spoken about this in other places, so there's no like real points of yeah, just like a system for affecting routine corruption, invalidating people's testimony so they can't like deliver evidence in court, and they can't like blow the whistle on corruption with anyone believing them, and people end up believing you're just crazy. So yeah. But yeah, I really dislike this idea of national insurance contributions of 13.5% being levied against the poorest earners in the country. So anyone earning below, in effect, 50 grand a year or so has to pay 13.5% national insurance contribution in addition to 20% income tax. So, yeah, it's a way for punishing the poorest, isn't it? And like the richest, and everyone earning over 50 grand a year in their salary is like, no, get off with it. Right? So you punish the poor with these high rates of tax. In essence, 30.5. No, 28.5%. No, 38.5% tax. No, 33.5% tax. Math is not my strong suit, sorry, and I'm a little tipsy. Yeah, punish them with huge rates of tax. Over a third of their earnings. I'm not that bad at maths. For the poorest, the country, the poorest earners, poorest people actually earning money. Then we wonder why we have this underclass of people who just don't want to earn money. Because they'll say, well, at best, we'll enter into that system where we become, lower earners and we're paying income tax and national insurance. It's actually quite an intelligent decision to, sit around on benefits and not do anything. Why would you want to pay all that money? Makes no sense. And, we fail to tax the rich, but, ultimately we do the rich no favours, really, by imposing heavy taxes upon the poorest. Since, no one will want to work for the rich then. And if no one wants to work for the rich, no one wants to do jobs for the rich, they'll have to offer more money for jobs, offer higher salaries, to entice people into working for them. They'll end up losing more money that way. And the people who do get jobs might well be less competent. And they'll lose money due to that reason. And it's a sort of lose-lose situation. Whereas the rich could give away a bit more of their money, like a bit of a bigger national insurance contribution than 2%, we could tax them a bit more heavily, more like 10%, I think. And, or actually more like 13.5%, it should be the other way around, obviously. But, to ameliorate this problem in general, really, with healthcare in the NHS, which is what national insurance is supposed to pay for, it's like, oh, we have free healthcare in this country. It's like, oh, obviously we don't have free healthcare. That's the big myth about it, obviously. We don't have anything like free healthcare, but I mean, yeah, just some upfront costs. And yeah, like some of it's paid for by taxation. And it's subsidised by the state. And it would prevent people from getting ill. And people would take care of themselves a bit better if there were just some costs associated with going to see your doctor. And you wouldn't get this issue of like, old ladies, oh, my hip, oh, my elbow. And we just want to have a chat with the doctor because it's free. And that's what we're paying for, all that shit, really. And we really are. The olds are just like lonely. We're going, oh, have a chat with the doctor and like all this crap. Like, go home, learn to use the internet. Help diagnose, like, you got rheumatism, or is it just like a bit of a dicky arm or something? But of course, they're all just like melting into a sofa, watching daytime TV and shitty, pointless game shows instead of doing something like going for a nice walk or some more exercise, most of them. So frankly, for that reason, I would deserve to die. Yeah, like, fuck the NHS. It's a shit, like, it's a crock of shit. It's a shit house. It's a toilet of a health system. It's dreadful. Thank you everyone for watching. Bye bye, I love you lots.